afternoon, my beautiful people. You are in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing with the right people. Hello. See, why keep they know I go live at this time. They're gonna go and call me at this point in time. You see, I can't with people. I just can't. Hello, beautiful people. I am with the amazing Dr. Chayla. This is our last Wednesday of the month, and you guys know that you do our whole round table, round robin with amazing women, and we talk about, what do we talk about, Dr. Chayla?
Everything.
Workplace topics, hot topics, and what's important to you, what's important to me, how we can survive this work life, how we can survive our personal lives, how we can survive everything. And how we can do it together, right? Because we are always, always, always better together. So welcome everyone to Dr. Dale's weekly post check, right? And the post check, of course, is checking in with yourself. That's what it is. If you ever wondered what it is, like I always say, but people, sometimes it kind of goes over your head. If you ever wonder what it is simply checking in with yourself, making sure that you're good, because if you're not good, everything else around you is gonna crumble. Right? And then you're not helping anybody else, right? You got to put on that mask on yourself first, self-care, take care of yourself, and then reach out and help everybody else. And with that, Dr. Taylor, you want to kind of do, I know they met you already, and we kind of did like a whole 6-7 amazing women in March. So now let's kind of reintroduce them to who Dr. Taylor is.
So, hello everyone. I'm Dr. Kayla. I am the travel doc. I've lived in, researched, and done visited over 100 countries, and I love to talk about this workplace wellness because there's an echo. Do you hear nothing? No, you're good. Okay. Well, maybe it's just me. Okay. So I think that one of the things that I really love, originally when I got my PhD, I did a human ecology and I was doing health disparities work, doing healthcare equities work, and very passionate about that. Right. But one of the things that we don't talk about enough is like workplace wellness, because most of us spend most of our lives in workplaces and spending time with hours upon hours with people sometimes you don't like, that you have to deal with, and how that impacts your personal life. And so I love having this conversation because people can relate on all levels. I've definitely, now that I'm an entrepreneur, but have climbed the corporate ladder. So I've seen all sorts of manner of craziness and survived, and consider myself a thriver, not just a survivor. And I'm really excited to share with other people kind of strategies that you can help, so that we don't see each other as maybe that we see each other as competition, but you see like, nah, I see the light in you and I want to help empower you and make your light shine brighter. And so I think that it is beautiful if we can kind of foster more of that in different workplaces and workspaces and life, just in general.
100%. I agree. I am going to tell you, Dr. Chayla, I didn't realize the importance of, the people, the importance of how vital it is for us to support our overall well-being. One, two, the supporting each other. Yep, right? Because, being in the workplace, being in, at church, at home, at school, all of the things, right? And being even in spaces where with people you think are your friends and you think are there to support you. But, sometimes you run into circles, and a lot of times you run into circles where that's not the case. They don't mean you well. They don't wish you well, right? And you don't even know, and you don't even figure that stuff out until much later on, because something happened, something was said, and then it just goes on this whole, it picks up this whole ball of gossip and lies, and I don't like her because she thinks she's all that, and I'm not gonna tell her about this project because she's gonna take it away from me. Like, all of this stuff that just comes into play, that we kind of play in our mind, right? Because the person that we think is out to get us or out to get our jobs, like I spoke before on this platform many times where when I was trying to break into HR for the very first time, I reached out to so many people. And I reached out to so many people that were leaders in HR, and in their own right. They were directors, they were managers, they were VPs, and execs, and just to say, hey, hi. I would like to shadow you. I would like to pick your brain. And again, you're coming from a standpoint of, years later, I found out you got to kind of give something to get something. And
That's
I
right.
was like, why do you always have to give something? Why? I don't have anything. I'm coming for knowledge. Why can't you just want to do something, a 30-minute conversation with me? Why don't you want to help? Why don't you just want to pay it forward, right? And give back, because maybe somebody was nice to you on the way in when you got started. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts around that stuff?
So the first thing that came to my mind before,
Before,
I'm echoing
I'm
again. I
echoing
don't know
again.
what
I don't know
happened.
what happened. Okay, I think it's me. I have to mute myself.
I think the thing that when you spoke about that, when I've gone into spaces where people are like, you know what, Jayla, you're so intimidating. And I think this smiling face is intimidating, right? It's not about me, it's all about them. And usually it's because they have their own insecurities and their own fears, and they feel like there's some sort of scarcity in opportunity. I would always tell my teams, like, listen, I ain't gonna be here. So I would love to have you replace me. Let me show you, if you're willing to put in the work, how to get there. Because I'm going other places, right? I'm going from another dimension. So I think that oftentimes I find that that is the case when people are feeling very insecure, and people can be insecure in high places, which could be very, 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 very dangerous. But I think that you're right that you do have to give something to get something. But I think that sometimes we're thinking that we have to give something tangible, but sometimes what you need to give is your time, right? What you need to give is your attentiveness, your willingness to do the work. And when people see that you're teachable, you're serious, that you're willing to hustle to really actually do something, they may see something in you and want to invest. But you can't just sit there with your hands out like, alms for the poor, and think that somebody's going to pour into you. You have
You
to
have
bring
to
something.
bring some. But Shayla, what if I don't have anything, and I don't have anything, and I looked up these people and I see that they're in HR for years and years, and I just want to have a conversation and see if HR is the best path for me, and I'm out the gate. I just came out of college. I know nothing, and when you come out of these college, or and you're just starting in your career, your knowledge of how the workplace is and how corporate America is, you have no idea. You know nothing. And so you're navigating this world, this new world. Is I'm like, okay, so I guess I got to get started somewhere. So somebody told me, go reach out to somebody that's already doing something that you like or that you think you're interested in. And that's what I did. I said, okay, so just hit them up and just see. Yeah, tell them that you just graduated with your HR degree, and you wanted to get some feedback and just see what they say. And I was like, okay. And that's what I did, Jayla. And I didn't get, if I
I was
got
going to
one
say, what did that
response
get
back,
you? Yeah, that's bad advice.
Jayla, if
It's
I
bad
got one
advice.
response back.
Yeah, yeah. One out of what? How many? How many you said that? Probably 50. You were eager, enthusiastic, exclamation points, smiley faces, emojis. You doing
You doing
everything,
everything,
dancing, tap
dancing,
dancing,
tap
and ain't
dancing,
nobody
and ain't
giving you
nobody
no
giving you
time.
no time.
You're talking on mute, but I heard you say
Say
exactly what.
exactly. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it was, right? So I handed out, and then I got next to nothing back, and then years and years. So you learn, right? I learned from that, that maybe the approach, right, and what you put in that note when you send that off to them, right? What did you say? Because you're asking, begging, asking, and you're not gonna find. You think all of those 50 people that I reached out to, you would think one would be like, oh yeah, she don't know any better, so let me just reach out and give her some pointers, right? No, nobody, no, barely nobody reached back out to say that. There's like, oh, she didn't approach me right, so I'm not even going to answer her.
So I think that I was in the same boat, but I got a little bit better. My stats are a little better because I did a little bit different. When I was an undergrad, I sold books door to door in New Hampshire. Okay. And literally, the book selling techniques that I learned doing door to door is what I used throughout my career to help get the next referral. Right. So for for when you're selling books door to door, they tell you, you go to that house and you say, everybody's buying my books. Did you meet Mary and Joe, your neighbor right here? And they'll be like, really? Come on in. Okay, I'll let you buy my book, right? And so I use the same thing. If I only knew one person, so that one person that told you to talk to that person, they should have personally, you should have asked, no, you don't want to send a communication. You want them to do an introduction for you. You want them to open the door for you in order to get in to have that conversation. Because then they know, okay, this person's credible. This is worth my time. And so I think that that person should have done that for you. And every person that I would talk to, I'd say, you know what? You really like my books. You know what? Do you have somebody else I should talk to? And that's exactly what I did in my career. So I talked to that one person. I'm like, you know what? This is really great. I really love your job and what you're doing. Who are the other leading people that you think I should talk to? And would you be willing to just do a quick email for me and introduce me to those people? And then they'd be like, sure. And I'd be like, I'll even craft the email. How about that? And they'll be like, even better. And they would send it to that person. And then we'd go from there. I'd be like, that person didn't get back to me. They'd be like, you know what? I'm going to poke them again. They, they're really busy. But then I had better success because I wasn't just going by myself. There were other people that helped champion me through that.
That didn't happen for me, Chayla, until I'm gonna say 10 years ago versus 20 years ago when I started in this whole thing, right? That didn't happen for me that way. And again, I was very green, right? So lesson learned, right? Now I know, right? But I had to go through those, jump through those hoops to get there, right? So speaking now, okay, so now I'm at work. I've landed a job. I'm there, and yeah, I know how to do the job, but now I've never been a manager before, right? I've never been a manager before. I never managed people before, and all that comes with that, right? So I go from just making sure that my stuff is good and together in the workplace to going to to having to make sure that other people's stuff is together, their projects and their day to day. So nobody's reached out and say, let me mentor you. The department, the organization didn't have a mentorship or a training program for managers, for people that were brand new first time managers, and all of the intricacies that come with that, right? It would have been good. It would have been great because that would have been a great stepping stone for me to say, okay, offer guidance. I got somebody that offer guidance, share their experiences to help me navigate the career path, and navigate these people that now are looking to me for leadership, right? And then act as a complete sponsor for me to kind of help get me to that next level. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have that. So, for me now to look back and reach back and help people, it's a no-brainer because I know exactly what it is, that I've been there, and it's hard when you don't know, and then you don't want to ask because you don't want to seem like you don't know what you're talking about, you know?
Absolutely. No, I absolutely know what you're saying. I think that that's, but you know what? One of the things that I learned early on, especially moving from several different industries, I worked in federal, I worked in nonprofits, I worked for for-profits, I worked for some everybody. So I've been around the block, a little bit of a round the way girl. And I think that, one of the things that I've learned is the power to say, I don't know, right? I think that that is a false narrative that a lot of leaders take on to say that I have to be the most knowledgeable person in the room about everything. I think my power in my leadership was the fact that I could listen to those around me, especially if I'm new to a department, I'm new to a company. I don't know everything around there. So I would learn how to ask questions instead of making statements, and then just say, I really am not familiar with this. And then the person that is the most educated or the expert, pulling them to the side, hey, can you give me a crash course on this, and so I can catch up on this, so I can be knowledgeable and competent about that. And people always respected that authenticity, I feel like, about me, and it helped me no matter what, because then I could understand the entirety of the whole whatever process, the procedure, the department, the workings of that corporate space. I think the ability to listen is one of the most, I don't know, effective tools that I use in each one of the positions that I was in.
Man, Shayla, it looks like we attacked the world of work completely opposite. You attacked it from a vulnerable standpoint and not scared to raise your hand and ask the question. And I attacked it from the standpoint of, let me just sit here and see if someone asks the question that I have in my head. And then I'll get my answer that way, or wait until the class is over and then approach the teacher, the professor, my supervisor after the meeting is over and ask them more information, or go and Google it, right, and figure out what the heck they were talking about instead of just fessing up and saying, you know what, I don't think I understand what just happened.
But you know what? You can read the room because that happened all the time. The question that I had, other people would have too. And people are sitting there talking like they know what's going on and they have no clue. We're all just pretending. You're sitting in a meeting and you're like, why am I yelling? Because it's happened so many times. And I'm like, does anybody know what this person is talking about? No, nobody knows. Okay, why are we having this meeting? Why wasn't this an email? Like, I'm just trying to understand. Ask the obvious question because other people do have that question, but maybe they're afraid. And I'm like, I'd rather not waste my time.
100%. I was even in a meeting just a week or two ago, and I was doing a training, and I asked some questions because now I ask all the questions. I asked all the questions, right? And I have no bits about it. I had a lot of people in the chat, and then others that reached out to me afterwards to say thank you for your questions because they were really good. It made me understand the situation or what I need to do as it relates to my business or whatever, right? So even up to today, and those people that reached out, they were much older than me, so it's still being done. See, age has nothing to do with it. Age has nothing to do with it. The years that you've been in your career has something to do with it. The title that you have has something to do with it. It's just that unsureness, that negative self-talk. You don't want to look like you don't know what you're talking about, and then you get in your head and then you walk away with not getting the information that you need, right?
Yep, I totally agree. Totally agree.
100%. So supporting yourself, supporting ourselves. So the conversation that we're talking about is, right, how we can support each other, right, in the workplace, at home, at school, at church, and it comes back to being vulnerable, which speaks to emotional intelligence. It comes down to being empathetic, seeing things from other people's perspective, and asking the question. You're in the workplace with someone that that just got hired, and they don't know the ins and outs of the company and how it should look and what it is, right? So reaching out to that person, even if you're not their managers, but they're your peers, for you to say, hey, I know you started last week, if you ever want to talk about, or you have questions about anything, I've been here for 10 years or whatever, I can guide you on some things, or here's some resources, here's who you can talk to. HR, yes, provides that open door, right? But you as a peer, a colleague, another manager, you can reach out and let them feel like it's okay for you to not know because you just started, right?
And I think in that, then you kind of build that bond with that person, right? Because they'll be like, I got a familiar face. And, I can go to Chayla. She's a safe space. I can go to Dale and she's a safe space that she's not going to make me feel like I'm inadequate or I'm incompetent or how did they hire you here by asking that question, which is going to further, actually for both of you, it's going to be mutually beneficial.
100%. So, in case, you're out there and you're wondering, why would I want to reach out and help anybody? It allows you to practice active listening, being present and understanding and validating other people's concerns and ideas. Because at one point in time, if you've been in the game as a manager or as somebody who's been in the company for a long time, or your sister, your friend, that they're going through a divorce or they're going through a rough patch or they're having issues with their kids, whatever it is, you've been through that same issue. They're going through it, why wouldn't you reach out and say, hey, this is what helped me, in case you wanted to give it a try, in case, here's a resource that I had to go to every day to kind of help me with this divorce that I was going through, whatever it is, reach out and let them know that, they're not alone. And when I did my group coaching last year, Chayla, I realized that was the theme. I had people, I had a couple of people in there that was age 20, I think the youngest was 23, 24, and then the oldest was 60, 70 years old, and and then I had people in between, and then from the youngest to the oldest, that was the theme. Oh, I didn't know that other people were out there thinking the same thing that I was thinking. I didn't know that these fears and these thoughts that I had in my head, that other people have them too. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. You triggered me a little bit. I was two things that I was going to say earlier. One thing was that this is interesting. So one time, this is so random. I was at a store and I was shopping by myself trying to get something cute. And there was a lady there and she was with her sister. And I was like, hey, do you think this looks cute on me? You know how we do sometimes as women. Girl, this look cute. And they say, oh, that look cute. So later, we had exchanged phone numbers because we end up having a lot in common. And later, literally,
You
like
so friendly. You are so
it comes in handy. So literally we go into this big funders meeting, right, for one of the places I was working, and lo and behold, who is at the table? That's the executive. It was this lady. It was the president. And when I tell you, we got a lot of money, and it was amazing that we had that partnership. But you just never know. I'm saying outside of the workplace, just being kind to people and formulating that bond that helped, and it furthered the cause that we were working.
Oh my goodness, Shayla, that is such a good story.
Yeah, no, true story.
Oh,
We were
wow,
hugging.
wow, wow.
People were like, "You guys know each other?" I'm like, "We met at the store." It was pretty funny. Yeah, it was awesome.
It was the same thing that happened with us when we were in New York. You just
Yes.
had that effect. And then me, I'm just a goof. So
No,
when
I'm
we went to the event, it was like, you guys are sisters or family, or you guys know each other? No, no, we just came to here to play full out and have fun at the same time, right? So that's, at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? That's what it's all about. Celebrate each other's successes,
Yeah.
right? Publicly acknowledge and celebrate another person's achievement, big or small, right? We don't do that for ourselves enough. We don't do it for ourselves enough. So having someone else come and say, hey, we're going to celebrate because you completed this project all by yourself. We were short staffed, and you just took it by its horn, and you just, you brought it to completion. And it was 3 hard, growling months. You did it alone. You didn't complain. You had the right attitude, and you came and asked questions when you needed to, and you just shut it down. Congratulations. Thank you so much. The department and the organization appreciates you. You know what it is to have somebody say that to you? You know what I mean? Now it's not about the money, right? They don't want thousands and thousands. It's beyond that, right? People want to feel appreciated for the work that they have done, right? They want to be recognized for it, right? Especially if it was like a lone wolf out there doing things all by themselves. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that is so key. I think that oftentimes we think that we need to throw more money at people and that will solve the problem. But everybody knows that money only exacerbates what's already there. And so if you're already toxic in a toxic work environment, you giving me more money to sit in this filth is not going to solve my problem. Fix the filth. You know what I mean? Why are you laughing? And one of the things I used to do as a manager is the first thing that
You're so right. The way you just said that.
But it's true. But companies are doing that all the time. Like, let me just give them some money. Let me give them a bonus. Let me give them a coffee. It's like, why don't you tell them thank you? Why don't you write them a personalized note? Why don't you acknowledge them? So one of the things I used to do is that with the people I supervise, I would ask them, how do they like to be applauded or appreciated? I had somebody one time, because I'm an extrovert, I think, oh, everybody wants like confetti balloons, like throw it from the loudspeakers, and I would do that. And one of my coworkers is like, could you please stop? It's having the opposite effect. It's really not. I don't want that. And I'm like, no, you really don't want. Let me say your name. You're the one that did the project. And she really gave me a great lesson in leadership and flexing my style, because she was like, no, you can just write me an email just one-on-one, and I would appreciate that. You don't have to tell the whole world that I did it and bring out balloons and a cake and everything everything else, like that is embarrassing. So don't do that to me. And so one of the things I would tell people is just make sure, like I would do like a little quick little questionnaire whenever I hired somebody, and I would ask them, how do they want to be, how do they like to be applauded? How, what's your favorite little guilty pleasure? You know, somebody would say, oh, I like Snickers. And then all of a sudden the Snickers would be on their desk, which cost me what, 50 cents, $1, but it meant the world to them. Oh, Taylor remembered that I like Coke. Okay, I gave her a Coca-Cola. You know, I see you're having a hard day, right? Those are the kind of things that you need to do in order to make sure that people feel like you care about them as a human being. And I think that the teams that I've led, my team now, like the reason why they work so hard is because they know that, listen, we are in this together, and Shayla cares about us, not just about the work. I am not just a robot or a machine. I am a human being with feelings, emotions, and behaviors. And listen, she understands that sometimes I ain't gonna have a good day. And she's not gonna paint me with that brush all day saying, oh, she's just a difficult person when she's going through a hard time right now. Show her a little empathy.
My. Shayna, you said a whole mouthful. That's not fair. You just said a whole mouthful of
Oh,
things. I want to get into all of what you just said. So first things first, 100%. I learned that as well when I was doing my data collection for my research. That was one of the things that that I found that administrators in nursing homes were doing to other employees. They're like, one would, some people like to be recognized for their birthdays, others did not. Not everybody likes their birthday. Not everybody celebrates birthday, right? Other people wanted to be a part of some and an job enlargement project. Like, I like that kind of stuff. Can you just put me on different teams? I like meeting different people and working on different, like, they love that kind of stuff. So ask people what they want and they will tell you. Stop
absolutely.
throwing, just throwing whatever sticks at the wall and just try to figure out what works. But at the end of the day, you're wasting a lot more time, money, resources, and it just costs you so much more in the end if you just ask the people what they want.
Yeah.
And then one thing, don't ask and then don't give it to them, right? Don't ask and say,
Yep.
hey,
Yep.
I can't, or not follow up and say, hey, we're gonna work on this, come back to this, because that was one of the another thing from my research was that managers would ask them questionnaire, survey, what do they like, what do they want, engagement, and all this stuff, and then poof, you never heard anything else about it.
You find this all the time in those DEI initiatives, and it makes me cringe every single time. How many committees that I've been a part of that they just want to check a box. And in my last committee, I said, listen, I don't want to be on a committee if it's just about checking a box. I'm not interested in that. I'm about purpose-driven life and about changing lives. And so therefore, if you're just trying to check a box, I'm not the person to be on this, because I want change. I want to expect change, and I want to be a part of helping change happen. But if y'all just going to keep on doing the same foolishness and not changing anything, but frustrating your employees because you acting like you want to give them feedback, like, don't do that. It's not smart.
No, it is not business. It's not smart business sense either, right? And then you're starting something that you can't finish, right?
Yep. Yep.
And then what happens? Then that's how the slowly, employees, people, the stakeholders, shareholders, you name it, they slowly start to not trust you, right?
Yep.
Because you're not keeping up your end of the bargain, right? You're not. You said you was gonna do this, and then you didn't do it. Now we don't trust the people on the top. I've been in so many organizations. Yeah, we don't trust them. No, no.
Yep.
But you sure you don't want to? I can go talk to them, and it's gonna. Me as an HR manager, I can go see and no, Dale, we good. No, don't do it because it's gonna backfire on us.
Yep. Yep.
Retaliation, this and that, and then you may end up leaving, and then we're gonna be the one stuck here, and it's we don't want that extra stuff, and it just pained me to know that there are people out there that act, and that's exactly why I got it. Why I soak up HR so much, right, and soak up training and coaching and helping people because there were I see myself in them years and years and years ago, where I wish that somebody would have poured into me, right, and help me, or send the elevator back down and not think that I'm out to get their job when I'm just here trying to grow in my career as well, right? So constructive feedback, another point, right? Provide honest and empathetic. Chayla, alluded to this earlier. Empathetic feedback, which aimed at growth and improvement. If I have somebody that comes and tell me, hey, I like what you did here, but next time let's focus on this area because this is what leaders want. This is what the focus is at this point in time. Like constructive feedback instead of yelling, screaming, putting me down, making me feel like trash for whatever I thought I did the best that I could. You know?
I think that you're bringing up a good point. One of the time we're talking about it from the other side of helping someone else, but I think one time somebody asked me a really critical question because I had something at work and they asked me. This person was just man irritating me like so, and on so many levels. We would call if she was a supervisor, we would call her for something, and then it got to the point where us as peers we were like, don't call her because whatever happens, she's going to escalate the situation. She's not going to make it better, and so we avoided her, right? And so so somebody else told me one time, Taylor, are you invested in her development? And I honestly said no. And she said, well, then leave it. You should only, if you care about someone, you should invest in their professional development and you should give them that feedback.
Shayla, you just dropped the gem. That was that. Yes, yes. You
Yeah.
can't go half the way. You went as far as hiring them,
Yeah.
training them in the organization, right? Having them learn how to do this job. Now go all the way.
Yeah.
They may be a pest in the beginning because they don't know, right? And what they don't know, they don't know. But you as their manager, explain to them why this is right or why this approach that they did was not necessarily correct at this point in time.
Yeah.
You break that down to them and let them see it, right? Show them. My director of HR always used to say, teach them, show them, and then watch them do it, so that way it's not you just saying it with your words. Well, I told you what to do. Yeah, you didn't show me.
Right.
You didn't watch me do it either, right?
Yeah.
So that way you can make sure that they really got what you're saying, right? So that way, I mean, and that's how people learn. Some people learn by, verbally, orally hearing the words. Some people learn by doing themselves. Some people learn by watching other people do it, right? The question is, and this is what you getting to know your employees because you care about them, you getting to know your kids because you care about them. Ask them what is it that you experience, what would be the best way for me to learn from you, you think, right, depending on what age they are and all that stuff. And your friends, even, right, you have you're in a group of friends and whatnot, and what the conversation is, give them that constructive feedback.
Yeah.
Tell them that post that they put up there with themselves looking all wild and stuff, that is probably not cool. Take that down. Tell them. It's not fair if you didn't tell them, because then you're not being a real friend, right?
Yeah. You don't care about them. I think the other thing about when you care about people and also your team is that when you know them, then you'll know what to delegate to them. So there are people on my team that maybe they were really good at event planning. Their job had nothing to do with event planning, but they needed a creative outlet. That's why they're bored. They're like, I'm ready to go. I want to do this. So let me figure out a way to tap in. And so then I would create a happiness committee. And the happiness committee was in charge of keeping people happy. And it was a hard job in some of these places. But what we would do is they would plan events or plan like little what do you call them, like the desk grams that you leave, like you're 100 grand and they look that corny stuff works. You know what I mean? I don't know what people be talking about that corny stuff, but I'm telling you, these people was like kindergartners when they got, oh my God, girl, I got me a Skittles. You know what I mean? I am the best. You know what I mean? So people loved it. And so I think that just utilizing people's skills in order, like leveraging that and incorporating that in their job somehow to accomplish a common goal will also help people stay at your workplace a lot longer and be happier while they're there.
100%. The thing is that I think that as sometimes as human beings, forget as leaders, as colleagues, employees, mom, dad, sister, all this stuff, we focus so much on what we don't have and what they don't have, that you're not even paying attention of what they do have that you can leverage.
Yep.
You know what I mean? What are you good at? What do you like to do? Kind of switching and flipping it to work in your favor. We already see that, okay, this is an issue, right? We already know that what it is. And I'm a very solution focused, even, conversation with my mom just now. I said, okay, yeah, that didn't work. And she keeps talking about it and she keeps talking about it. And I'm like, Ma, okay, it's a problem. I'm with you. What are we going to do to fix it? Like, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? Oh, yeah, well, let's do that. This conversation could have been over 10 minutes ago.
No, but she needed that
She needed that
space.
space.
She needed to get
She
that
needed
off
to
her
get that off
chest,
her chest.
maybe like a
Maybe
hundred
like 100
times. Like,
times.
Mom, okay. My husband always tells me, like, he's like, am I listening to solution for you, or am I listening just to listen? And I'm like, just listen.
Listen.
Don't give me
Don't
any
give me any
solutions.
solutions. Oh, I like it. I told you I'm a husband already.
Don't salute
Don't
me right
salute
now.
me.
I'm just venting.
Just venting.
Okay.
Okay. I need to get this out. And I was like, I realized that now, right, with my mom after years and years and years of doing this, learning emotional intelligence with her, from her, with each other, and with myself, right?
Yeah.
And I realized at the end of the day, people just need to get it out, right? They need to talk through that process and the issue, right? I'll give you this issue that happened. My nephew, my mom, my nephew, and myself, we went out to we were going to the store and we stopped and we bought some food, and the food, we had it in a container. We were sitting in the car, we were eating it for a little bit, and then we closed our boxes. Me, my mom is sitting up front and my nephew's in the back, and we gave him our plates and said, hey, put this in the back, we're going to eat the rest of the food when we get home, right? We didn't say this, we just said, all right, you put it back. We ate some, and right, this was, I'm gonna tell you what it was fried shrimp and fried plantains with some salad. It was delicious. Okay. It was delicious, Taylor. And we just said, okay, well, I'm saying, talking to her, and I'm assuming he's not listening to us. And we give it to him and we put it back there. And I said, okay, put this back there. That's all we said. We didn't give any further instructions.
Oh, he ate your
He
stuff.
ate your stuff. No. Do you know he threw our food away? And we barely, and this had like 15 shrimps in it. And we only ate like probably one or two. A quick bite. And when we got home, we're like, because we stopped at one store and another store, and we thinking we got food back in the car. And at some point between stopping at the stores, he threw this food away, and we didn't even know. You imagine now we get home, hungry as hell now, ready to eat, get inside the house, and I'm like, okay, so where the food? Get the food. He's like, what food? I was like, what are you talking? You playing, right? Stop playing. He wasn't playing, Jayla. He really threw it away. Me, I was like, okay. My emotional intelligence had to kick in, right? It had to kick in, and I said, okay, so let's see what we got inside the house to eat. That was me, and I moved on. My mom now, she went, she from the island, she from Honduras, and she gotta get it out. And she's like, how could you believe I ate the food that fast? How could you? Didn't you feel how heavy it was? Didn't you? I said, Mom, but we didn't tell him anything, and I'm assuming he assumed. I said, all right, it is what it is. But she went on, and she went on for days with that. And then eventually, after everybody calmed down, she apologized to him, he apologized to her, and here we are. But no instructions were had and assumptions were made. Assumptions were made. So I learned in that process, it's very, there's a quote from Simon Sinek that says, the important thing about communication is that people think that it happened. Because just because you said it, I told him I want him to sit at that table. Is he sitting at the table? Did you check and see if he understood what you said? Did you check and see if he grasped? And is he ready to do it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You gotta double check all of the boxes to make sure that that's what happened, right? Not assuming and thinking they're ignoring you when you haven't even done your proper getting the information out. Right?
Wow.
So another point to look at is empathy in challenges. Show empathy and support when a colleague is going through something, tough times, whether it's personal or professional, right? Putting yourself in somebody else's shoes really is, don't kid not. There was this thing that happened, one event that happened, Shayla, somewhere, that a mother son unfortunately died, and then her friend's son years later died as well. The second friend whose son, so now both of them lost their son. The first one said, oh, you know, you're still young, you can still have another one, and I get that you lost your son, right? And then the other one said, okay, now you understand how I feel. She's telling her, shake out of it, get out of it. You can, you're too old to have another one, so why don't you just get over it, because your son is gone. And so there was no empathy, there was no understanding in all of that communication. So both of them, to some degree, was kind of toxic towards each other, right? Nobody helped each other during that time. How you going to tell a mother, just get over it? How you going to tell, like, that's something, it's supposed to be the other way around. Your kids burying you, not you burying them, and especially at such a young age, right? So watching and listening to that story, if you don't put yourself in other people's shoes, you will always be pointing fingers and criticizing. Thoughts?
Yes. I think that two things came to mind. One is that I've been in spaces at work for organizations where it was a CYA culture, and that you have been in these meetings where somebody is getting bullied in the meeting, and no one steps up to say, hey, I think this is not okay. I think those are very difficult scenarios. And oftentimes I found myself, because I feel like at night I have to sleep with my own conscience. And I can't sit there and let somebody else be slaughtered and feel like, ooh, I'm glad I'm not them. You know what I mean? Or whatever the case. If there was a way that I could detract, either by using humor or saying, hey, I think we should table this for next time to try to take the heat off, I think that it's important to do that, because I don't think that those are the kind of toxic traits in organizations that allow it to fester, and that people are definitely unhappy, unengaged, miserable, and will leave. Their retention issues are terrible, and your progress, your productivity is going to suffer as it relates to that. The other thing I was going to talk about is, it was like years and years ago. I remember one of my colleagues she had lost her dog, and I am not necessarily a dog lover. I have a dog now. Okay, but it took a long time for it to warm up to this dog, and that wasn't my doing. But this lady took 2 weeks off work. I mean, you couldn't even say dog. I mean, she was just broken up in the whole. I really could not relate, okay, at all. I was like, over a dog, lady? This lady just took 2 weeks of work for a dog. You know what I mean? I just couldn't. I mean, she was literally couldn't even, when she came back to work, couldn't bring herself together. She was crying in the meetings, and I was just like, I don't know. I really can't relate. But I remember talking to her, and then it helped me to kind of understand. Her dog was, I don't know, maybe 14 or something, that had been in her life for a very long, 14 years. She's like, this is like a member of my family. And then I was like, you know what? I had to switch it and say, like, what if it was somebody I knew for 14 years that passed away, as opposed to saying it was a dog? Because I thought, this lady is just putting on. She really trying to get she about to get FMLA. She trying to get out of it. She trying to rev it up so she can be off work for this dog. But in reality, she was really, really hurt. And it was a space that I couldn't really relate to, honestly. But now, having my dog, I'm telling you, I don't know if I would be that lady, but I just pray. My neighbor just lost her dog. And her dog was 13. Don't laugh. The dog was 13, and she was really broken up. And then she was like, how old is your dog? I'm like, hey, you don't got to bring that over here. My dog is fine. You know what I mean? We don't need to talk about my dog. She 12, but shoot, she ain't leaving no time soon. Yeah, I don't know if you prayed over your dog or not, but, but yeah.
Chingla, you said a whole thing, because I think that's what happened with a lot of managers, right? Like, someone one of their employees is going through something, and they, I used to think they're so far up that they can't see down. They can't see what they're if you can't relate to your people, you can't relate to them, how, and you don't understand them,
Yeah.
then how are you going to guide them? It is your job as a manager, as a leader, as a, as a boss, as a owner of an organization. It is your job, at the core is for
Yeah.
you to get all of the education. That's what I call it. Get all of the education that you need to make sure, and whether that be whatever that looks like, get all that you need to make sure that they have the tools and resources. I'm not talking about they have the laptops to do the job. I'm talking about that they have the mental health,
That's
the
right.
mental support, that they have managers that are supporting them. Hey, you're not doing, I see that you're off today, you're not doing that well. Is there anything that I can do? Is there anything you want to talk about? Can I refer you to the EAP services? Like whatever it is, like you see people in pain and in need, and you ignoring it willingly because
Yeah.
I just needed to do the job. Long gone are the days
Yeah.
of people just showing up to do the job. That is done with. When people come to work, they don't bring just their minds to do the job. They bring their entire body, which requires emotions, mental constraints, their physical body. They're bringing all of themselves, not half of themselves. That is a dad, that is a mother, that is a sister,
Hmm.
right? That is a person that's caring for an elderly parent. They are going through stuff. So, yes, they may not come with a smile on their face every day, and it is your responsibility to make sure that you can help alleviate in any which way that you can, right? And that will help not only bring success to them, but to you and your department as a whole, right? And my director of HR used to say all the time, he was like an old school Puerto Rican dude, amazing, Oswaldo Font. He used to say, he said, if you can get an employee on your team that started at a, they're supposed to be at a 10 and they started at a 2 or 3, and by the time they're finished with you and working with you, they're at a 8 or 9, you've done, you are a great manager,
Hmm.
right? Because it would be great if we could all get a 10, a person that's performing top 10 every single day, but that's not reality, right? But if you can get someone that really came in fussing and fighting, they may be doing some stuff right and other stuff they're not doing right. But if you get them they're coming in at a 2 or 3, and you get them to an 8 or 9 or even a 7, that speaks to your character as a leader.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Yeah.
I think that that's true. And that comes through like some patience with having some training, some coaching, having one-on-ones. I'm really surprised at how many managers don't have one-on-ones with their team or their direct reports. I'm like, how are you even in tune with what's going on if you don't have any one-on-ones with them? To say I don't have time for that is kind of like you're shooting yourself in the foot, because you could be getting really good detailed information, detail from those folks. So I think that you're right in that instance, but I think a lot of times leaders don't have the patience for people to develop. We just want it right away. We want it like microwave popcorn. We want to put it in the oven, put it in the microwave, 30 seconds, boom, you a star. Next. You know what I mean? We don't want to take the time to really heat up an oven and do what you need to do to make an appropriate meal.
Shayla, I think that question is for you. You said something about new hire questionnaire for new hires. Did you say something about?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
I have
I have
I'm trying to think.
trying to think.
So some of the
So
things
some
that
of the
I have
things
in
that I
there,
have in there,
can you mute real
you
quick?
mute
'Cause
real
I
quick.
gotta.
I got it. Yeah.
Some of the things I asked them about is I asked them what is their guilty pleasure, like what TV shows or whatever they like, or books. What are their favorite books? I asked them how do they like to be praised? How do they like to be confronted if there's an issue? I talk about it right away because conflict is going to happen. So how do you like for me to approach you with that is always very helpful for me. I asked them. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I asked them what's their, if you had $5, like what's your favorite snack? I asked them that. I asked them, it's like 10 questions that I asked all new hires, and I have them fill it out so that I'm kind of aware with what they like. And that's on day one. That's not, we don't
We
do that
don't
on
do.
day 30.
100%. 100%. I did the same thing. And one of the people would they I one of the things that I did was not only ask them, um because I love to hear people's story, right? I'm
Mhm.
like, why are you doing this job? Where, what do you want out of life? Where do you see yourself really in a couple of years? Why, what is it that is important to you to do what you're doing? Not just here to get a, so I'm trying to get an understanding of their psyche, right? You love this color. Your favorite color is pink. Why is this your favorite color, right? So understanding the psyche behind it, and it helps me understand the people that you're working with a lot better, right? And how, what moves them, what motivates them. Because when you know and understand what motivates them, then you can motivate them. You can do those things to motivate them, right? So that's exactly what Dr. Chayla is talking about, is that when you get to these nitty, because you're right, conflicts are going to happen. How do we approach these conflicts? Some people like to get it, just give it to me straight. Some people, like me, you gotta ease me into it. Shayla, you gotta ease me into how you're gonna approach me. My husband, when I first got married, one of the things I said, "You are so rude. Why you have to say it like that?" He's like, "How else did you want me to say it? If you did not get it, I feel like you were ignorant in this situation." I said, "My husband, you didn't have to say the word ignorant. That is such a harsh word. Why didn't you just tell me, sit me down and let's have a nice conversation and, ease me into what you think I missed instead of just calling me ignorant." In that situation. And we went back and forth for a minute. But that's the approach. Now I'm like, I get it. I know what you mean. Now I know what he means with a lot of different things, but I had to kind of learn that, right? Now I can take it straight hard, but I like the ease. Let's sit down. Let's have a conversation about it. Tell me your likes and dislikes. Let me know. I'll let you know what my feedback is, and then we can meet in the middle. So that way we can still, both of us walk away with a win-win, right? What
But
do
I
you?
feel like that feedback loop only works if you trust the source.
100%.
I think they. Why are you laughing? Because you know it's true. You
It's true.
definitely
Every
bring the
time I
people.
laugh is because you just, yes.
Like it's yeah, it's true.
Add more to it. Add more to it for those that out there that are still wondering what you mean.
I think that trust is the foundation for any relationship, whether that's a platonic relationship. I think if it's platonic, romantic, if you don't have trust, you don't have a relationship. And one of the things that I think, going back to what you said, Dr. Dale, is you build trust by I do what I say I'm going to do, right? And I show you over and over again in a pattern of behavior that you can count on me. I'm stable, right? That I am positive, that I'm adding to your life. I have value, right? And so I think when people don't do that, then when people try to come and give you feedback, you like, whoa, who you think you are, right? Wait. I don't trust you in this area. You advising me on it because you haven't shown yourself or proven yourself that I can trust you in this way. And that's why I think it's important as a manager, as a leader, that your people trust you, that they know that you're authentic, that what you say you do, you're going to do, right? You're not one way in one room, and when you get out the room, you're another way, right? Like we used to call that two-faced it. Do people say two-faced it anymore? You know, you don't
I
want
still
to.
do. I still. You're being fake. We don't like her. She's being fake. She's one way in front of, and I've been, oh my gosh, countless times, right, in the room
Yeah,
with the 10, 15 executives, and then, you're acting all polished and all of this and all that stuff, and you completely agree. But then when you walk out, you go and tell all of the 50 people out there about how what they said in the meeting and what wasn't true. You're
right,
divided. You don't
right.
like what was said, and you didn't voice your true honest opinion or your thoughts on the situation, in that particular time. And that's what that used to get me every single time. I was like, I know you disagree with this. Why are you sitting there like you're not gonna back me up on this? Like you're gonna leave me out here by myself? I No problem. I'm gonna say what I gotta say, and I'm gonna say it respectfully, right? I don't think we should do that for our employees because of this, and this. This is what's gonna happen, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And you're completely right. You're 100% right.
yeah, yeah.
So here's some, kind of bringing it home, kind of we're at the last here, in life. Um, what helped me? A few things that kind of helped me kind of that feel supported wherever I was networking. Going out and actually networking, and not necessarily networking going to a specific event. Networking is also, how about you reply to those messages you got for people that reached out to you? Reply to them and let them know that you're interested or not interested, right? Because that brings back to, if I reached out to someone for something, or shared something, I would want somebody to respond back to me, right?
Mhm.
Number two, um, so help each other expand your personal and professional networks. Positive affirmations that help me beyond, right? Regularly, having positive affirmation and support that boosts my confidence and that can boost other people's confidence. So I share what I liked, what worked for me, and I shared with other people, and it worked for them as well. So if something works for you and you can help somebody, share that. And positive affirmations is a great way, and that's how it has helped me. Um, be present. Be genuinely present in your people's lives. When you're sitting there having conversations with your employees, with your patients, your clients, your family members, be there 100%. If you're not there and completely disconnected and being there, then you're not doing them you're not being fair to them, right? And at the end of the day, when it's time that you want someone to listen to you, and they don't do it, then this, because again, we get what we give. If you give that, that's exactly what you're going to get back, right? And you don't want to give out the energy of not being completely present and engaged in whatever setting that you're in, right? And encourage growth. I'm always learning something, growing in all of the different spaces that I'm in. I'm always doing something. Every week I'm doing something. So, what does that look like for you? Always wanting to engage and share and grow, whether it be a training, whether it be having an insightful conversation, whether it be reading a book, whatever that looks like, but be in the process of always learning your trade, especially if you're an expert in these streets doing your thing, right? Chayla, what are some things for you?
I think that as you climb whatever ladder you're in, can you mute real quick?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I think you have to do is you'll have limited time and limited resources, so it's really hard. I'm not going to be hard on the people that didn't reply to you, Dale, Dr. Dale, because I imagine there's lots of people that are pulling on them. But I think that as a leader, you have to discern, the people that are around you and really take a moment to see if you can be invested in that person's development or be a connector for them. I'm naturally connector. I love connecting people like, oh, Dr. Dale, you should talk to that person. Like, oh, you know what you need? You need that person. Like, I have a wide network. So I typically will be, I just love people come to me all the time. Somebody just 3 people right before this text me, hey, I got a problem I need solved. Can you consult with me on this real quick? Sure. Great. That's why I'm a great consultant. I can help connect you and get you the solution and fast track your problems. I think the other thing that will keep you humble is that I like to learn something new all the time, right? Because it keeps you in a place. I think when you get to a place where you know it all, or I have a PhD, you know what I mean? So then you think that you've arrived, and none of us have arrived, right? And so I feel like for me, I would be remiss if I did not mention travel, because travel is one of the ways that I always keep myself humble. I'll go to a country, I don't know the language, I don't know the people, I don't know what I will encounter there, but it humbles me in a way, and I have a greater appreciation for different cultures, diverse places, different backgrounds, and it keeps me actually on my toes. And I think as far as your emotional intelligence, you use that more when you're traveling, because sometimes you don't have maybe the competency to be able to figure out where this is or how do I say this or what the case may be. But I have had numerous scenarios in my life where it has been the case that having that understanding people and listening to your intuition, listening to those your instincts will help you in scenarios where you didn't even you didn't even recognize or notice. And so I think that when you find an opportunity to do that, I always plan for that. I know where my next vacation is always going to be. I always know my next getaway is going to be. I know what my minimum looks like. I need this in order to function, to unplug, recharge, reset. I encourage everybody to do that. I think that is just a beautiful way for you to stay humble. And then you also then help other people on your path. And it does come full circle always back to you.
100%. So we're going to end with this quote. May I be happy. May I find deep joy. May I be peaceful. May I be safe. May I live with ease. May we all be loved. May we all be prosperous and filled with care. That is called love. And Dr. Chayla and I give that to you so that way you can go and share it with others in your space, in all the spaces and all of the places. Chayla, anything else? We're good?
No, that was a beautiful closer.
Yeah, yay!
Yes.
Awesome. So I'll see you guys back here next week, Wednesday, 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dr. Chayla will be here probably at the end of the month. The last Wednesday of every month, we have these kind of roundtable conversations, and I'm trying to see if I can bring them in a lot more often. But you know how people's schedule is. You know they be playing games. It is what it is. But it is. We're gonna get it figured out, everybody. So love you guys. Thank you for joining your weekly pulse check with Dr. Dale.